Welcome to the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters is right here. I am Mike Galetta, aka Hampton Mike, along with my partner Brian, the Ranger Retard. We're going to do another absolutely freaking solid special that you're just going to love and talk about. You are for months. Anyway, today, to finish up some of our 32 NFL teams, 32 NFL fans, we are going to do the Kansas City Chiefs. Unfortunately, our Kansas City Chiefs guy bowed out at the last minute, so you got us. So, Brian, stat me.
Kansas City Chiefs. So, they finished 11-5 last year, good enough for second place in the AFC West. Did make the playoffs, got a win as well, but they did lose in the divisional round to those New England Patriots. Offensively, they were very potent on the ground. 6th in the league rushing, but a 30th rank through the air. Defensively, were fantastic. Top 10 both. 8th against the run, 9th against the pass. Not a lot of free agency acquisitions there. They did end up losing Chase Daniel to the Eagles, and probably the Eagles probably want to give him back at this point. But they traded out of the first round. They got Chris Jones, a defensive tackle out of Mississippi State, with a 37th overall pick. You look back at last year, Mike, I think that they outperformed a lot of people's expectations. Finished second in that division. They did win a playoff game. A lot of injuries, though, primarily to starting running back Jamal Charles, who's looking at injury right now again, starting this season. But they got great performances from Charkandrick West and Spencer Ware to fill some of that void. Yep. Jeremy Macklin's first year in KC was a major success. We want to keep that going, obviously, this year. Build more rapport with Alex Smith. But they did lose Chase Daniel, who followed Doug Peterson to Philadelphia. The Chiefs ended up getting Nick Foles, who Andy Reid knows very well from his time in Philadelphia. A lot of Philly flavor, this Chiefs thing, for some odd reason. Yeah, but it's going to be an interesting year for the Chiefs. Like, what do you make about Alex Smith? He's a guy who... you know, no one thinks of him as one of those top-rated quarterbacks. He was #1 pick at one point by the Niners.
Yeah, a very long time ago.
A long time ago, but he's making himself a nice little role here. Yeah,
it's funny. And it's funny. Here's a quarterback where a couple years ago who couldn't find a wide receiver to save his life. I mean, you got a guy like Kels there as a tight end, who's a solid tight end, who I think they underuse a little bit. And they got to get in the offense a little more. Jeremy Maclin, who's good veteran receiver. Unfortunately, the departure of Dwayne Bowe a while ago. And it's funny how Dwayne Bowe has fallen off the planet.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, here's a guy who was a absolute stud in Kansas City and has done nothing since. But, I mean, I think Alex Smith is okay, although he is getting up there in age. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's a situation. Now, back to you, Brian. We're going to talk a little about the running game. Now, what the heck is going on with Jamal Charles again? Here we go again with injuries for Jamal Charles. Yeah,
he's a guy who actually, if you did your fantasy drafts this weekend, fell probably about a full round as a result of we don't know when he's going to play or what his deal is. He's a guy they've relied on for a lot of years now, but pretty much a do-everything back. Catches out of the backfield, runs, does everything you want, but if you're not in the field, you're not in the field. I think you're going to see a lot of Spencer Ware to start the season. He kind of supplanted Niall Davis and Charkandrick West to be that #2 guy. And they'll lean on him. Again, that's a team that's not going to wow you offensively, especially not through the air, despite the fact that, again, Macklin's a nice piece there. Travis Kelce's a nice piece. But they do run the ball. And we're going to see really how deep they are again. Looking to see Spencer Ware, at least for a couple games, but definitely the first one. We'll see how after that. But I got to tell you, they need Charles to be there. Yeah, they need Jamal Charles to be there.
Yeah, I mean, there's a guy the last couple of years, even 3 years now, has been plagued with injuries, and the backups to him have been played well. I think, my own opinion, I think Macklin's got to have a big year. Macklin's got to have a big year, and Kelsey's going to have a big year for this team to move on. Defensively, the Chiefs, they've always been a decent team. They have never been a bad team defensively. They always, I wouldn't say survive on their defense, but they do play well on defense, especially in Kansas City itself. I mean,
it's a hard place to play. Nobody wants to go play games there.
Right, and they've had turnover of 2 and 3 guys before in the offseason and still played well in Arrowhead. It just must be a thing with Arrowhead where they always play well. From the front four to the secondary, I think the Chiefs secondary is going to be fine this year.
Yeah, defensively, I mean, again, they ranked top 10 in both running against the pass last year defensively. They tend to draft very well defensively.
Yes.
I agree with that. I mean, if you look at some of the guys they have, I mean, not just for the secondary, but really, the linebackers. Tamba Ali's a guy who you never really hear as like one of those top 10 guys, but he's just a solid player. Yep. I like Eric Berry. When they're safety. Yeah, I mean, they're a great unit together, and really that's how they win their games. Because again, they're offensive; they're not going to pull you over by any stretch.
They're not. I mean, in the way of the schedule, you look at the Chiefs' schedule this year. I'm going to get a little behind here. I'm going to pull up the schedule right now for you.
Well, actually, I have it right here. They have a bit of an early bye, but
and they got a difficult schedule. I wouldn't say it's we say a lot that a lot of these teams don't have difficult schedules, but.
No, and the funny thing is, you look at this, again, we talked about the Arrowhead Stadium home field advantage.
Yep.
They have a lot of tough road games this year. They're going to Houston, they're going to Pittsburgh, they're going to Carolina, they're going to Denver. I mean, tell you what.
They're in a tough conference. They're in a tough conference. I mean, that just comes down to it.
Those are games, they're really going to have to win. Again, not an easy start to the season. Again, they have San Diego to start, but again, they're going to Houston, host the Jets, going to Pittsburgh. Doing some traveling.
Home against the Bucs, that's a killer game right there. That should destroy them right there. And they got the Panthers before that. I mean, like I said, they do not have an easy schedule. But you know what? They did make the playoffs last year, and that's what happens to teams when you make the playoffs.
I think the benefit here is they have 3 or 4 down the stretch at home in December, so you got some home cooking there in the month of December, and again, it's going to be cold. So some of those teams may struggle with that, but. Again, I don't see how this team regressed from last year.
No.
If you get the same production from their running game, I see no reason why Kansas City can't, repeat what. I think the 11-5 record was not really indicative of how good they were. I think they were a little bit better than maybe the record didn't indicate how good they really were. They were more like a 9-10 win team. I could see them doing that again this year, and I think they're no worse than second in that division.
I think they take a little bit of a step back this year. I think Oakland does make a charge in that division this year.
Yeah.
Nothing traumatic. I think they may be 10-6. I don't say 9-7. I think 10-6 is probably good for the Chiefs. They might be one of the most consistent teams in the NFL. They're stagnant across the board. Every year they're going to get there, but they're not going to get there. So, maybe with Andy Reid there and his scheme will get them a little bit further. We forgot to mention Nick Foles is there now too. So another Eagle. So,
but as fans in the area will remember that the Andy Reid's clock management's not really a strong suit. So we'll see how that comes out.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. So that's all the time we have for the Kansas City Chiefs. Hope you enjoyed it. Keep an eye out. We got some good things coming.
And, of course, make sure you're following us across all of our social media platforms. We're on Twitter at SportsBox Show. We're on Facebook, of course, and the YouTube channels where you found us today. So make sure you're keeping an eye on that as well and subscribe, of course.
We are absolutely freaking everywhere. We're going to be in your house soon. But anyway, at the Sports Box, the only opinion that matters, still right here. Thanks for watching, folks. See ya.
Don't forget to subscribe.